6 years after sparking controversy with a sermon telling pupils they didn't have to accept LGBT ideology, Rev Dr Bernard Randall remains blacklisted by the Church of England. Once a respected chaplain and theology expert, he's now sidelined and branded a safeguarding risk. Despite no evidence or complaints against him, Randall says the Church is more concerned with appearances than true Christian values, punishing him for his beliefs, not misconduct. His case raises serious questions about freedom of speech and fairness within the Church, and how long will this injustice continue? Joining me now is the man himself, Chaplain Bernard Randall. I didn't know what to say. Was it Reverend, Chaplain, Bernard?
Any of the above, but Bernard is good. Yeah,
Bernard's fine. Well, yeah. Bernard, welcome. So you've been on the show before. This case has been going on for years now. Let's just do a little recap of where we've got to this present part of the story. OK. 2019, so it's 6 years, over 6 years now. I gave the sermon in the school chapel, Church of England school, Church of England minister, Church of England act of worship, gave a sermon saying, in response to a pupil question, how come we're told we have to accept all this LGBT stuff in a Christian school? I basically said, you don't have to. You make up your own mind. So I explained you can believe the traditional Christian view on marriage. You can think that the idea of changing sex is impossible. Gender identity doesn't quite make sense. So you're not even like telling it's not like going out to the kids and saying this is wrong. All you're saying is you're allowed to use critical thinking.
I explicitly said don't discriminate against anybody. Don't no excuse for personal attacks or abuse. If you accept all the LGBT stuff, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to change your mind. But, and I repeated this about 6 times, respect the people you disagree with. Christian love means you don't have to agree, but you respect their sincerity. And that was the sort of radical message of think for yourself. It turns out not to be acceptable in modern society.
No, and not acceptable at this school.
At this Church of England school, yeah, or it appears for the Church of England, or parts of it. So I was reported to Prevent.
Wow.
Who somewhat surprisingly cleared me straight away.
Well, you didn't do anything really bad like go to Israel.
Well, yeah, quite. Reported to the safeguarding authorities, the local authority safeguarding. I ended up being reported to disclosure and barring service. They both cleared me. I did get sacked by the school for gross misconduct, reinstated on appeal with conditions including censorship of all my sermons and not allowed to mention anything controversial anywhere ever. And then COVID came and I was made redundant, which I think was just a charade to get rid of this troublesome priest. Yeah. But what happened at some point is the Church of England's, the Diocese of Derby's safeguarding team got wind of this, and they have got an open safeguarding case against me. It would seem simply for teaching it's acceptable to hold the Church of England's teaching, which I know is a radical thing.
So that is what... So, yeah. I mean, this is it. So what is the Church of England's official teaching then?
Well, the official teaching is that marriage is properly only of a man and a woman, and there's a carve-out in the Same-Sex Marriage Act that allows all churches to hold those views, that the place for sexual intimacy is within marriage, and there's also a carve-out in the Marriage Act saying that clergy don't have to marry somebody in their acquired gender. So there's an option to believe or not believe. So, yeah, fairly traditional stuff. And although the Church is going through a process of discussing where it stands on sexuality and same-sex marriage and so on, the doctrine remains the same, and we're told it's not going to change in its official form, though pastoral accommodations or other things.
So I just want to stress here, because I think anybody sort of unfamiliar with the story or something might go LGBT. This is a Christian preacher who's saying that gay people are bad or whatever. This isn't what you're talking about at all. We're not actually even talking really about homosexuality, are we? We're talking more about gender ideology.
Gender ideology. I think that's the thing that really got me in hot water, because I touched on that sort of sacred.
You don't want people from the church touching.
Yeah, no. Sadly, you have to say that. But I did give a positive account of Christian marriage, because I think it's fair enough to give young people an understanding of what marriage can be. If you only allow one viewpoint in schools, how are they to make up their own minds? But it seems that only that one progressive viewpoint on marriage and, sexuality and be free and easy with your love seems to have been the only acceptable viewpoint, rather than contain yourself, understand who you are as a human being, and if you're going to be sexually intimate, let it be with somebody who is the one person in your life, rather than...
I think they call it monogamy.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of it, yeah. Strange for someone from the church. No, I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't mean like you. I have to say it's strange that anyone would be pushing in this day and age.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's this day and age and where the church historically has been have drifted such a long way apart. And I think, and I know I'm biased, I think the church's teaching is good and beneficial for individuals in society, but for society at large.
Any evidence has proven that a child with both parents, or two parents, I should say, it doesn't matter whether they're gay or lesbian or whatever, but two loving parents makes a huge impact to the outcome of the child.
Absolutely.
So marriage and monogamy does have a positive benefit on the child. There's nothing homophobic within that ideology. Now, saying that you think that a man can't become a woman and other parts of gender ideology, that's a very different thing. And to see that push within the church or any religious institution, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I'm Jewish. And but in my synagogue, we have a similar thing where gender ideology was pushed on our children, and I had to go fighting that tooth and nail with the rabbi and with the synagogue's board, because I didn't think that this was an ideology that I wanted pushed onto my children. That doesn't make me a bigot. That just means I don't think that men can become women. I think there are only two sexes.
And I think that truth matters. Now, that's certainly at the heart of the Christian understanding of the world. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth and the life. Truth is at the centre of Christian understandings of everything. So and doubtless in the Jewish tradition.
Yeah, we also think Jesus is the guy.
But the importance of truth and integrity and honesty.
Of course.
And that's all I'm standing up for, is I want to say, there is a truth. This is my understanding of it. And if you come along with me, great. If you want to disagree, great. Have a debate, have a discussion, but allow both sides to be aired, because that's how we get truth. That's how free speech works.
Of course. That's how we arrive at our positions, by debating and arguing and respecting other positions. So let's just take it to today. This is, as you say, started 2019. It's ongoing. 6 years later, you go before the church, and what do they say? Oh, we're really sorry. You're right, actually. This is something we should debate about.
You might think, wouldn't you? But no. They did the whole safeguarding process. I pointed out they hadn't followed any of the rules of procedures. They botched it horribly, and I said, we'll go back to the start and do it again. A new process. They didn't actually go back to the start. They started in the middle. They didn't restart in the proper way. And recently had a meeting where they said, giving a sermon like this is harmful, and therefore you can't be allowed to minister without a risk assessment by a psychologist to check your thinking. I'm sorry, I don't accept that free speech is harmful. No. Attacking an individual on an individual basis, no. Just generally spreading ideas, good for us all.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining us, telling us story. I cannot believe it's still continuing. Hopefully I never see you again. Thank you very much, Bernard Randall.